Back NFL season, we got a lot to talk through. Big slate, obviously. So I think we would probably talk about some game stacks we like at the beginning, then get into some positions. One thing that's changed is obviously there's been some serious value that's opened up, and also it's made me a tiny bit less on the game that I was on, where I had like almost 40% of my stacks were in the Baltimore game. Now I'm a little bit lower, even though I like Likely, and it's easier to you could argue that it's a better stack to make, but there's just a lot out there that opened up value wise. No Jerry Jeudy, so the receivers in Denver. There's a lot more value that you can get in. So you're going to get some really, really high ownership on the big guys. That's just the one thing I noticed that's changed since the last time I did a show with Rody on Thursday. How's it going today, Sheets? And what are your overall thoughts here?
Yeah, I just finishing updated the projections. I have to put the stacks together and then throw them up there. I don't even know what the value is you're referring to, so you're going to have to kind of tell me what that is.
I just did. Isaiah Likely and no Mark Andrews, so Isaiah Likely is going to be a popular play and a good value play. You got Jaden Reed who's playing and for Green Bay now, and Mims is a better play than he was a good play, then he was a bad play, now he's a better play because there's no Jerry Jeudy. We thought he was going to be back when we last did a show. Kendrick Bourne. They're just looking at the guys who are getting price raise. Well, it's really just those, and Cortland Sutton is going to be the main one who benefits there. But Likely and Sutton, as well as Mims, I think are the ones who've gotten the biggest boost. So you definitely have some value.
Hey, before we go on, I just want to just kind of update on like other things for a minute. For those that didn't see, I chopped the other lottery in the MMA last night.
Hell yeah. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, for 40,000.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we posted that all over and was really, really on with the betting too. I hit like a 12-1 shot in the main event. And another 5-1 and a 4-1. Really, really we really did well in the MMA streets last night.
Beautiful.
Really, really good. As far as the other sports day, then we'll get on to the NFL, is baseball, they made the slate, the contest very, very small. As I imagine they're going to continue to do on the Sundays. I'm going to still play because I'm going to find that they're going to be much softer. So I'm going to get those sheets up soon. Definitely going to still play NASCAR. NASCAR is going up there as well. And I'm going to also get the I don't know what you guys' schedule is for later, but I'm definitely going to get Showdown sheets up there. I'm going to be out, I think, for when that game starts. I'm not going to go live or anything like that. But just to let you guys know that that stuff is getting up there, and we're doing kind of good things across the board.
Sounds awesome, man. That's great. And again, congratulations. I didn't see that MMA hit. That's huge. That's beautiful. I love to see it. Right before the NFL season, as you said, Sheets, now you're kind of free rolling a little bit.
Yeah, F the NFL. That's the theme, I guess.
F the NFL.
How much I walked away for a second. How much did you win in MMA?
43,000.
Oh, that's great.
He chopped the big one.
Yeah, they chopped the big one. Yeah. Basically, just going with everything that we said on the thing, and then the betting streets we freaking killed. We had like two 5-1s and a 12-1, and we got like robbed out of another 5-1 by 11 seconds. So it was definitely a good, a good night to say the least.
That's freaking awesome. I'm thrilled to hear it. I didn't see that. I actually went to bed at about 8 p.m. on Pacific time so I could get up early to do football. And I hadn't slept much the night before, so I got a nice 9 hours, which I don't think I've had in like 10
Oh my God, I can't remember the last time I slept 9 hours.
I don't know. I don't even know if I've ever done it. I mean, I know it's been at least 10 years if I have done it. Anyway,
wow, that's amazing.
Rody, how you doing today, and what are your overall thoughts on the slate?
Oh man, I'm doing good. It's been a grind. I've been putting a lot of hours in yesterday and today, just trying to figure it out. And then a lot of new news dropped. A lot of these value guys. A couple of lower running backs I like more than some of the chalky running backs, but it's just kind of messy. It's just there's a lot of plays today, I think, and then just kind of how you're building makes a lot of sense, like how you put it roster construction. So,
yep, absolutely.
I'll tell you this before we get into it. I mean, there's a lot of content out there.
Yep.
There's a lot of sites. There's a lot of sim tools. There's a lot of noise going on right now, and even more so this year than any other. It's going to be really, really difficult to separate the noise from the reality. I'll tell you, there was another thing. Again, I was going to call you yesterday. Actually, I'm sorry if we're going to run over, but I was going to call you yesterday early in the morning, but I thought you'd be asleep. There was something that really hit me. I was thinking about what we did as far as the site goes. I know people are here just to hear the picks, but I don't care. I'll talk about this. And I was thinking about something, and I was going to even like post this to other sites to challenge themselves to answer this question, but I don't want to get in a fight with anybody, honestly, because I didn't want people to think I was criticizing. But when we first started this, I was always thinking, how do we make this different? How is it, you know what I mean? Are we just going to do the same thing everybody does, but, better, or are we going to do things a little different? And do you know, I'm really thinking about this. I'm going to state that there are probably others that I don't know about, but I think that we're the only, at least from what I do and you do, whatever, I think we're the only site that really actually teaches people how to play better. Mm-hmm. Now I say that with a lot of, I think about this. Forget about the plays. I mean, honestly, because every single site gives out plays. Every single site gives out their favorite plays. Every single site gives out some tools to execute them, whatever it is. But I think about like the different process videos we do. We talk about how we actually build lineups and how to use the stuff that's available to actually win. And I really think that we're the only site that does it. I mean, completely honestly, like I try to think of any show on any site that I've seen where they actually say, okay, like here are the tools. How do we actually use this to get better? And how do we actually and how do we actually make lineups, and how do we learn from those lineups? And I was very, very happy. I'm usually happy with this stuff, but I was especially happy with the work we were doing. And I want to continue that process of really teaching people how to use what's available out there, whether it be our site or any, to actually get better at doing this, as opposed to just who to pick on this particular day. Now, we're going to get into who to pick on this particular day, but for those of you that are watching this for the first time, I really do encourage you, even if you have to watch like some videos for free for a while to see what's different about what we do, it really, really is. And listen, I've done a lot of stuff, done poker trading sites and this and that. I'm not like some 25-year-old kid or whatever. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I don't want to say I don't do this for the money, like the site, but I don't. Okay, and I wouldn't continue doing this if I really didn't think that we were doing something cool. And for those of you that are just kind of like swarmed with content, swarmed with stuff, and don't know where to turn, I will tell you that I think that what we're really doing on our site is helping people get better. And that's, I didn't want to like get into our first NFL by wasting 15 minutes on that shit.
No.
But I was thinking about it yesterday, and then so I figured I would say that I'm happy with what I'm doing here. So
no, I appreciate it, man. I really do. And I think you've done a great job at that. And I really, really love where we're going. We'll get into today's slate so we can get to it, because I know.
Let's go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. That was great.
So anyway, so I like Miami. No. Let's
after all that, it's Miami and the Chargers. No. But I think it'd be great to talk about like some game stacks. We'll start with you and then go to Rody. Which games are you targeting the most? And I'm gonna go through some of my exposures. This is mostly gonna be premium stuff that I'll post all my exposures in the premium Discord and all that stuff. But I did want to talk about like what games we're getting the most into. And start there, and then we'll go positions.
Okay. I heard a take that was interesting regarding Miami. That there's an offensive lineman that's out, and I don't even know who it is, but that really impacts. Okay, that really impacts the way they roll, and I'm just not exactly sure that something like that would be factored into the projection as much as it should. So, I bring that up. But the top three, just as far as like what stacks look the best, I guess. I have like Miami, Minnesota, and then actually Cincinnati before the Chargers. So that's how I have them ranked. Now again, who looks good and who I'm actually playing, I'm gonna have to run builds, after the late injury report comes in, whatever it is. But Miami, Minnesota, and Cincinnati look to be pretty solid.
Yep, I get that. Rody, who do you have as the stacks to target?
Most of the stacks I got are probably like I got a little bit of everything, really. I got some of the cheap quarterbacks we talked about on the pick show. Like I got a little bit of Baker Mayfield, which I like. I obviously got the Chargers. We're gonna probably have a lot of Chargers. I am getting more Miami a little bit. Lately, I like some of that Anthony Richardson for the Colts too. Getting a little bit of that. I've gotten a little bit more Hurts lately in some recent builds. Getting a little bit of Watson in a main build of mine. Yeah.
Well,
So
before we go on, if you wouldn't mind, so a couple of words that he's using here have a little of this, a little of that, a little of that. I think that we should, when we talk about what we like, we should give some context of what types of things we're playing. You know, what type and how we're looking. You know, like for example, I'll just tell you guys in advance. Like, I'm playing 150 in DraftKings and in FanDuel. And then I'm playing like one big buy-in lineup. That's pretty much it. So I'm focusing on the MME stuff really, and so I'm more inclined to have like a little, you know, of stuff like a little of this, a little of that, whatever it is. And I'm also playing Yahoo. I always do well in Yahoo, so I'm playing 35 entries in the MME stuff. So what type of stuff are you playing this week, Rody? And what type of stuff are you going to play in general? Again, this is more for the people that don't know you. You know what I mean? Like what type of
I play like the power sweep, like the 150 max power sweep a little bit. I have 3 into that. I play like 15 lineups in the $100.
The $100 milli maker. I forgot about
$100 milli maker.
Yeah, I'm only playing. I don't want people to think I'm playing 150 of that. I'm not playing 150 of that. I'm playing 3 of that.
Yeah.
I'm playing 150 the other $5.
Now you're going to win that one after the 3 entries. Anyway.
I got some single entry stuff, and then I got a big 4-4 ticket today, or 4,444 ticket today to burn.
Oh, that's awesome. Because we're not even in that one.
Yeah, so that one's I haven't built that. I'm gonna build this after the show. That's my focus after the show.
Nice.
And then so that's pretty much it. And then I am doing 150 in the DraftKings, and there's some overlay right now in the FanDuel ones. I might add into that one here.
So now when we go back to what like kind of stacks you like, you say I have a little of this, a little of that. You know, like so you're referring more towards like the milli maker type stuff when you're saying that, right?
Yeah, but I got some of these in my $100 one, and I got a Baker one in my 150. So I kind of like him and Watson. So I'm trying to get a little bit different in there, but I got a lot of chalk pieces in the lineups. You know, like I'm using some Jaden Reed. You know, still I like the likely. I like the I'm getting a lot of Mostert. Like so, some of those like chalky pieces still in my builds, but a little different with the stack.
Yeah, and I hate to derail Bobby. I know Bobby wants to stay organized, so we're going to talk stacks and then go back to positions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Well, no, we're good. We're good. This is the first time. We're going to have a little bit of this, you know. So I'll go quickly with the stacks that I've got now, and it'll be reflective when I say my quarterback exposures shortly after. My highest owned anything is Baltimore. It's more just Baltimore. I have some without a run back. Mostly it's going to be Pierce as a run back. I'm going to throw in a little bit of like a Nico Collins or a Dalton Schultz or what's it called here and there. Why can't I think of the name? Robert Woods. But I really want to stick with my early take on the Lamar Jackson Baltimore thing. Now it's a little bit less. I'm down to like 25% instead of having like 40%, like I said, because I do think Andrews makes a difference. And I think they use likely in the Andrews role, but it's not the same thing. Andrews is a really, really, really good tight end receiver, and he helps Lamar go. So I like the Lamar thing. I'm sticking to that take. The other games that I'm heaviest on, no surprise, Cincinnati, Cleveland, both sides. Miami Chargers, both sides. I do have about 10% Baker stacks. I've got about 7% Lawrence stacks. I've got like 3%, 3% of Richardson, 4% Richardson stacks. And then I have just in case with the Howell thing, but he's down at like 4% for me for the Washington thing. It's not really a stack. It's more just to make other things work. Howell and Russell Wilson are the cheap guys I'm using along with Baker. So those are the stacks that I'm after. I'm a little afraid that I don't have enough of the Vegas Denver, and I'm not getting to the Rams Seattle from a passing standpoint, but I am playing some of the pieces. So that's sort of a general outlook of what I'm doing. And now with that said, we can jump straight into quarterbacks, which is going to.
Well, before you do that, I want to comment on one of your stacks again. And I'm not embarrassed to say this, that there are other people I listen to, and I'm a great information aggregator, and I'm pretty good at knowing who's sharp, whatever. I want to share a take with you that's going to support you. And I only would share the takes if it was like from a free video, honestly. Mm-hmm. But there's a guy who's like really just super sharp, like pretty much all sports. I don't know if you know Brian Jester. He's like really, really good. Does everything and really, really sharp. And they were talking about their tournament stuff yesterday. And I know you've been on Baltimore like all week, but they gave some like context in that when you either everybody's like really lying or if you look at literally all the coaches, all the players, everybody associated with Baltimore, like this Baltimore is just not the old Baltimore. Like this Baltimore is going to be just throwing the ball, and going 11-man, 12-man, whatever. And people are suspicious about that, whatever. But they're just really just couldn't be more emphatic about that in all of the coach speak. And that's what you're like too. I know you've been on right from the beginning. At the beginning, whenever you say Baltimore, I know Bobby's playing freaking Lamar, and I don't want to do it because there's no receivers, like all this stuff. But if you know they're going to freaking sling it around, whatever. I figured I would share that take.
Also, the best receiver on their team is 4K, and for some reason, I've heard him mentioned on every show. Every single show has mentioned he's a great tournament play, yet he's still projected to be 1.5% owned. And
which one?
Zay Flowers.
Okay.
He's the best. I mean, he's likely their best receiver, their wide receiver 1, and he's being treated like a wide receiver 3. That's just not the case in my opinion. They also have Bateman and Odell, so they have a much better receiving core than we've seen in the past, and that also gets bumped up because Andrews is out. So
hey, before we go on to the positions, I don't know how much we're going to talk about actually lineup build, but since you talked about stacks first, I think it's a good opportunity to do that. What is your take on stacking? Maybe not so much in general, but maybe a little bit. But as applies to this week as well, because this week is probably the first week, or the only week until like the end where you're gonna have all 13 games, right, or something like that before the buys come in, or maybe not, whatever. But
yeah, a couple weeks, not much.
Yeah. So is that going to impact the answer to the question? But what types of stack like constructions do you think are going to be, where you're going to target for like a week like this?
So that's what's really important. That's a really important question, actually. So I think for me, it really depends on what which stack you're talking about. Like with Cincinnati, I think you could legitimately play all 3 receivers with Burrow, and then run it back with either Chubb, which is hard to do, but there's some value lets you do some stuff like that, or you could run it back with Cooper or something like that in the flex. But I think you could literally use all 3 receivers. I think that when you're talking about Lamar, I wouldn't use more than 2, and I mostly will have just 1. Even with the throwing it around, I still think he's going to dial in a little bit. That's just his nature. So maybe I'll use Likely and Flowers or something like that. So that would be 2 and then a 1 bring back. But for Cincinnati, Cleveland, I have 5, 3 receivers from Cincinnati, the running back and receiver from Cleveland. I have a lot of that, and then I have that also with the Charger game where you can try to fit it. It's hard to fit, but there is some value. I'm totally good with pairing up as many as the tight end and 2 receivers with Herbert, and I'm okay on the other side of playing both Waddle and Hill if I can get them in with Tua. So it really depends on the games. But and then with Baker, he's so cheap, I probably am going to just single stack him with like a Godwin or Evans. I'm okay with doing both, but I don't love it. I'd rather just pick one. So it really just depends on which stack you're talking about. How about you for that question, Rody? How about your stacks? What are we looking at? Are we using 3 receivers, 2 receivers, tight ends, 1 receiver, 1 tight end, that kind of a thing? What are you using mostly? And
I do a lot of 1-2-1, or 1-2-1-2-2. So game like full game stack, not necessarily the 3. I did put a 3 Chargers build in one just to get crazy. Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, but that's just a crazy one. That's the only one I did like more than that in. But like I like Hurts with like Brown, Smith, say, like Richardson, like I like him with a 1-1 stack, like maybe a Pittman. I think I like today. Derek Carr, you could do a 4 maybe because of Thomas, Olave and Juwan Johnson to get different at tight end. You can do that 3 combo, but like I stick to the 1-2-1. So mostly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a couple things I want to hit on the position. So let's jump into quarterback. Sort of the easiest one because it sort of goes along with what we just talked about. But I'm just going to go look at my exposures and talk about it from there. Why is it not showing? There you go. All right. So my quarterback exposures. I'll start this one off, and then we'll go to Sheets and then Rody. I have Lamar at 24%, and then it's kind of a dip down to the 15% range, which has Tua and Burrow and Herbert. And then I'm all right in the 10% or less range with Baker, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Sam Howell, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson, and Russell Wilson. Those guys are all just below 10% for me. But the main ones being Jackson, number 1, Burrow, Tua, and Baker are the next ones. But Burrow and Tua are the only ones above 10. I both have them 15 to 20. Probably I'll end up with. How about you, Sheets, for quarterbacks?
So this is one of the things I'm going to try to improve upon from last year. Now, to improve. I know people are going to say, "Oh, you did so well last year. What do you?" Listen, this is like listen, Tiger improved every freaking. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? What I think that was a really big leak of mine, and I continue to work on this is what I would normally do. I would never think about the quarterback. I would say, okay, what receivers are good, and then whatever quarterback just kind of falls within the stack, I'm just going to go with them. But so many times last year, you see Justin Fields and these quarterbacks just go freaking bananas. Mm-hmm. You know, that, okay, great. I got Kirk Cousins and his 20 points because I had Jefferson. Good on me. And then next thing you know, you got Justin Fields with 40 on his own. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whoa, what the hell just happened to me? So I'm going to answer my own question, by the way, about stacks, is what I'm going to try to do a little more of this year are those stacks where you do like the receivers with the run backs from the other side, but just not use the quarterbacks, from that game. You could take the one off of, say, Anthony Richardson or the Justin Fields or the, you know what I mean? The guys that could generate it on their own, or Daniel Jones even, whatever. And so that's the one thing I'm going to probably change this year, is to not be as much of a stickler for kind of, that sweet looking, quarterback with the receiver stuff. Okay. Now,
so what you're saying is, by the way, I just want to add to what you're saying is exactly how I build my lineups most weeks. I literally do the stacks, and then I put my quarterback. One of the running quarterbacks is going to be my quarterback. You know what I mean? Anyway,
yeah. And that's no. So with that said, okay, on DraftKings, right now my main stack right now, for example, are the Chargers. Okay, that's just what it is. But I'm doing some Jacksonville and I'm doing some Colts, so I'm getting some Trevor Lawrence and some Anthony Richardson. Now, again, I'm focusing when I'm just making this discussion on the Millie Maker right now. So Herbert is going to be my top-owned quarterback right now, and then Anthony Richardson and Trevor Lawrence. So I think I have a combination of those. You know what I mean? I got some running quarterback. I got a running quarterback maybe with Anthony Richardson. I have a hybrid with Trevor Lawrence, and I have Justin Herbert. So that's where I am. Are you doing anything with the real cheapos, like the Howells or anything like that?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. I have those guys 10%. But the one thing I didn't add is that I'm going to add Green Bay and Chicago stacks, and that's going to thin out a little bit of the other guys for me. And I didn't end up getting to that in my initial builds, but I'm gonna force some of that in because I do want to get some exposure to Fields even in a tough matchup, and I want to get some exposure to the cheap, less owned quarterback in Jordan Love. So. One thing I want to point out while we talk about the position, though, Richardson is really cheap on FanDuel, and he is the kind of player that you would want to use because he is the rushing upside quarterback. And I would just point out that he's 6,700 on FanDuel, which is pretty significantly cheaper than most of the other guys we're considering. That the guys, you get him in there with Bryce Young's price. I just think Anthony Richardson's a really good play over there. And by the way, for what it's worth, the Jacksonville Indy games last year in Indy, I think was 34-27 for what it's worth. Rody, how about you for quarterbacks? I know it's going to be similar to your stacks, but throw them out there.
Yeah, I like the Herbert, obviously, like Baker, like Tua a little bit more. He's popping a little bit more for me, when I'm doing lineup builders. He's getting a lot of him. Geno Smith's one. I don't think anybody mentioned. I'm kind of lower on the Denver side of it, but I'm getting a few of him. Jordan Love, I got a bunch of. You can really make it work with Musgrave and Reed. It's just such a nice stack. It feels good.
Yeah.
When you put in 3 stud receivers, you get Jefferson, Hill, Brown, Chase. You can get whatever you want with that. Yeah. So and then Anthony Richardson and Howell, I do have a little bit of. So yeah, those are kind of my main. And then some Watson, obviously, I said earlier in the stack for the. Yeah. So yeah, those are my main.
Yep, that makes sense. I did want to add just a quick note, as she's mentioned about tonight. She said about the showdown. I am going to be doing videos for all showdowns, but I don't think I'll be able to tonight because I'm going to it's my grandfather's 93rd birthday, so I'm going to that for a few hours, and it just happens to be in that time slot. But in general, I'll be covering showdown every week, at least for September. We'll make sure to get somebody to cover them going forward. We'll figure that out later.
It's just a tough. it's a tough mental state to get in. You've been grinding the whole, you know what I mean? Like you're sweating the Sundays and stuff, and then you're now you got to get all juiced up to do the showdown. You know?
The Sunday ones are going to be the tough ones to do for sure.
Yeah, especially when we're sweating $1 million today, right?
I know,
Yeah.
seriously.
Man, I'm building this lineup for you guys, but damn, I'm going to win $1 million.
I'll still post the builds and everything like that, and the premium and all, and so you guys will at least know what I'm doing. But it's going to be tough to make them for sure.
Hey, one other thing before we, I guess, go on to running back again. I'm only talking through this stuff like selfishly because this makes me focus when I talk about this. Like if you think you're going to do something, it's one thing, but if you say you're going to do something, it's a little bit more likely to do it. You say to other people you're going to do it, it makes it even more likely. Another thing I'm really going to try to do a little bit better this year, which I think everybody wants to get better, so I think everybody else should do a little bit better, I guess, is to really separate like what types of lineups you're going to be putting in what types of contests. Okay, so that's why like I do the Millie Maker stuff, but I'm also going to be doing like one in the Wildcat, one in the Power Sweep. I really want to figure out like the differences, you know, between what types of lineups I'm going to put in those as opposed to what in the Millie Maker. Like you have to have just so much vision, you know, in the Millie Maker. Or almost like tunnel, or almost no vision, you know what I mean? Where you have to be just a little different. So I'm going to do a little bit better with that.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, all right. Let's start off with running backs. Why don't we flip it around and have Rody start off with your favorite running backs today?
Oh, running backs. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of Mostert today. I don't know if you guys are getting a lot of him. For that Miami game, you know, everyone's on Hill and Waddle, but I'm getting a lot of him. He's pretty cheap. Damian Pierce, another guy for Houston that's kind of popping for me a little bit. So those are the main guys. I like Austin Eckler today a lot. I mean, I'm trying to figure out if I want to stack him with Herbert or not, or what I want to do. Kenneth Walker, Jamal Williams is really popping, but I know Tennessee was really good last year against the run. They were number one in stuff categories, but they're saying that Williams going to get pass catches. That rookie Kendra Miller's out. So he could get a lot of work today. So at 5,100, his price tag is pretty good on DK. Rashad White is another guy like on the other side of that Minnesota game. If I'm getting some Jefferson, I like stacking up with Rashad White. I think he's going to get a lot of work as a 3-down back in that offense as well. I did throw a little bit of J.K. Dobbins in to get off this Likely and Flowers stuff, just a little bit of him. A little bit of Herbert and my Khalil Herbert and my love run backs. See if I'm missing any good ones. A little bit of Henry, a little bit of Josh Jacobs. I'm hardly getting any McCaffrey. I just don't have any McCaffrey today. Is one of my big stands of the day. And I think I said Kenneth Walker. I get a little bit of him too. So,
yep, that makes sense to me. Sheets, how about you? What are you getting to at running back?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of one play, which just has no chance, but I'm going to do it anyway.
No, I'm doing it, and there is a chance, and I'll make the case that after you go.
I don't know, but my top owned guy is chalk is Jamal Williams.
That's not good.
At 28%, but then the guy I have 26% of, you're just not supposed to play guys as like big underdogs like that. I have like 26% Damian Pierce, and I don't know, just I didn't lose enough last year trying to play him. I figured I would just try to lose a little bit more. So that's where I am. And then the guys you mentioned, like Kenneth Walker, Mostert, Aaron Jones. I only have like 12% Deion Jackson. I thought I would get more to him. So that's like the majority of my running back exposure.
So I like it. I am going to be the way overweight Deion Jackson guy. I don't care if he's popular. For what it's worth, in this matchup last year, he had 10 receptions. You can actually play him with Richardson. And have a really cheap, nice build to a stack in a game that's got some. And it's a little different because his game last year was they sort of just gave him the Jonathan Taylor role like in the game, but he ended up catching all those passes. The 10 catches. I mean, that's a big number, and he's 4,100. And they say they're going to split time, but Evan Hull and Jake Funk, I don't know. I just don't see them. He's an actual running back, Deion Jackson. So I'm going to be overweight the chalky Deion Jackson. I'm going to be way overweight the chalky Kenneth Walker. I'll be overweight the chalky Eckler. And then like you, I have Damian Pierce as my next guy. And
good. Okay.
But that has a lot to do with the fact that I'm playing the Baltimore side of things. And because I like the Cleveland-Cincinnati game, and I think he gets overlooked, I'm going to play Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. These are all my above 10% guys. Then Raheem Mostert. Then we get into the like 8%, 6% guys. You know, this is the one out of 150 and the $5 and everything. But like McCaffrey, I barely am using, but I am using him a little bit. Etienne, I'm using a little bit. I'm going to try to take a couple shots on DeAndre Swift. Then you get Brian Robinson. I am going to force in Henry and Jacobs, who also are going to get overlooked in some lineups. But that's pretty much my whole running back pool. So we can jump over to wide receiver.
Wait, I want to say one thing. I don't think Deion Jackson's actually going to be that chalky, is he?
I mean, I don't
everywhere's
know
talking him down. He's only showing 6% on True here. I got the projections up, 6% on other. Like our
aggregate. It's bizarre that he's not showing. Well, you know what? Then good for me. I'm going to go with.
I think you're taking a stance just because everyone doesn't know what how it's going to flow with Anthony Richardson. It's not. Last year he was a little bit different because of him. So a lot of unknown factors. I think people are a little scared off. Maybe it might be lower own. Good play.
I also like the idea that Richardson as a new quarterback, they're going to find some easy dump offs for him to try and get the ball out quick. And
that's possible. He could do a lot of check downs, so it's very possible.
Yeah, I could see that one. All right, so let's get into the wide receivers. Rody, why don't you start this one off? Talk about who you like at wide receiver. I think we're going to hear some Chargers and Dolphins names probably coming up.
Well, I'm actually probably more on Waddle than I am on Hill. I'm probably more on Mike Williams than I'm on Keenan Allen. But I like those guys, obviously. I'm more on Jaden Reed than Marvin Mims. I got a little bit of Sutton. I like a lot of the mid-tier receivers, the 5 to 6K ones, Olave, Christian Kirk, Ridley, Godwin, 59. So those are a lot of my favorite receivers right there in that little mid-range. Devontae Smith will probably not getting a lot of ownership. No one's going to play DK at 7K or Lockett at 6,700. Kind of mix those guys in. Drake London at 5,400 is too cheap. Amari Cooper at 5,800 is very cheap. Even I didn't get a lot of Debo. I know you got him marked as a core play here, but 5,500 for him, he seems too cheap. But yeah, I mean, a lot besides the Chargers and stuff. Those are kind of the guys I'm trying to mix in. Some of my builds as much here. And, Pittman's one I didn't say. Pittman, I kind of like him a little bit in that stack, and maybe some more Mike Evans and my Baker, a Godwin, Mike Evans type stacks. So
that makes a lot of sense. All right, Cheats, what about you?
Nothing particularly earth shattering in the wide receiver position. Guys from last year: Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. Those three guys, and then Cortland Sutton, who you mentioned. I'll throw in again. I'll shout out Derek Carty and the Blitz for identifying Drake London as a good regression or comeback guy from this year for Atlanta, and I have him decent amount this week. Who else did you not mention? That more than 10% of Chris Olave, Christian Kirk from that game, Calvin Ridley from that game, Godwin. The Jaden Reed, I have more. I think I have more of him than the Mims.
Wow, she just sounds just like what I just said. I'm like, this is
I know. I think you just said that.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm on with the optimizer, the main man Sheets winning all that money today. I'm right.
More of him than the Mims. And those are the guys that I have 10%. And the guys you mentioned, Keenan Allen. Not nothing particularly off the board. I don't think.
All right. So I'm definitely high on the spend ups as well at receiver. I do like Jefferson and Hill a lot. The problem is, what I said earlier is to try to get more Waddle and Keenan Allen to try to offset the ownership if you're going to play that game. So while I have a lot of Mike Williams and Tyreek Hill, and they're both staple plays for me, I am going to be 20% plus on both Waddle and Keenan Allen. So that is my way of getting different in the game. Those guys are going to be significantly less owned. I love Rody's call on Javonte Smith. I've only got him at like 9% right now, but I'm probably going to try and get some more. I also have the Chase and Jefferson, again, going to be above or with the field on the pretty chalky guys. Chris Kirk, one of my favorites in the mid-tier. Love Cortland Sutton in the mid-tier. Love Chris Godwin in the mid-tier. Amari Cooper. A lot of similar names. But I will be forcing in, I have T. Higgins a lot, but I also am going to force in some Tyler Boyd. I'm going to force in some Debo Samuel just as a hey, this guy's 5,500 and probably shouldn't be. He's my other 10%er. I have DK Metcalf at 10%. Calvin Ridley I have at 10%. Juju Smith-Schuster I have at 10%. And then the Mims Reed I have just below that. And I do have Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Pickens, Deontay Johnson, and Jahan Dotson are my next highest owned. The one thing I'm flirting with is possibly just price forcing in DeAndre Hopkins and saying, hey, this guy has not been playing with a real quarterback. He didn't play with a real quarterback all last year. And I think, and not that Tannehill is some superstar, but I do think there is a chance here you could see DeAndre Hopkins be one of the top scorers this week, and no one is going to play me 6,900. He's probably not. He's either not going to be that cheap, or he's going to be significantly cheaper the rest of the year. But I do think there's an upside for him to bounce back and be looked at as one of the best 5 receivers in the NFL again this year. Debo is just a really good play in a bad matchup. He's just a really at 5,500. My guess is Debo ends up at 7K again before the year's out. All right, let's talk tight ends. Starting with you, Sheets. Who you got at tight end? I know that for me, it's changed a lot. I'm now on a likely all over the place, but to start the day, I was a lot different. What do you got at tight end, Sheets?
I currently have 45% likely right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be, I guess, twice the field, something like that. I mean, that sounds about right.
Yep.
That's just kind of where I am. My tight ends, always kind of a fishy position. So, I mean, if I can get that, I probably should be overweight on him, I guess. But other guys that I have that are at least approach 10%, because I'm spread all out after him. But I guess the top 3 guys I'll give after that would be Evan Ingram, TJ Hawkinson, and Kyle Pitts.
Sounds good to me. How about you, Rody?
Yeah, I got a lot of likely, obviously. Musgrave, I'm getting to, just kind of also putting some in my stacks, like a little Njoku with my Watson. But mostly a little bit of Goddard, nothing major, like a couple lineups, nothing crazy. Eifert, I never get his name right, guys. About Gerald Eifert, whatever. I kind of like him over the likely stack, kind of maybe even in my big one. I was originally going with the tight end. The Cowboys used to use the tight ends a lot. Kellen Moore there now for the Chargers offense. They throw it a lot more, and they're going to hit the tight ends probably a lot more. So he's kind of a play I like a lot today. And then Musgrave for the 2,900 Musgrave. I really like his price at for the Green Bay. We've seen a rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, on Thursday night get used quite a bit. I mean, he had like a bunch of catches, a few other targets that he didn't get. So not shying away from these rookie players today.
Like it. Yeah, I'm going to be highest on Njoku and Likely. I actually have a couple double tight ends just because Likely is so cheap. It allows you to do some other things. And also, sometimes some spots I like tight ends in the same, like I have some Schultz and Likely lineups and things like that. But Likely and Njoku are the ones that are going to be my highest owned. Nothing revolutionary there. I have to get some Musgrave, I guess, from what I'm told. So I hadn't expected to do that, but I'm going to get some of him. The other guys I have are basically all just 10%ers. Like I mentioned, Schultz as a run back for my Baltimore love. Tyler Higbee I like as just a solo play. If you're going to play Kenneth Walker, maybe you run Higbee back on the other side. I like Gerald Everett. I think that he's another way to get different in that Charger game. And then you get in, a little bit of Hawkinson, Evan Ingram, Jordan Smythe, Hayden Hurst. But those guys are all sub 10%. And I'm going to have Sheets start off on defense, but I know what he's going to his thing. But Sheets, I guess you got to make your announcement about defenses.
Yeah, I think we should go 100% Commanders. Because I just feel there's a lot of variance in DST in general, and then if you're playing big field GPPs, that playing the chalk defense is typically a bad idea. And I in the Millie Maker will never whatever. I don't go over 20% of any defense, no matter how good they look, in GPPs. In the big field GPPs. If you want to play cash games, or even free max or whatever it is, then you can go ahead and play the Commanders. But in big GPPs, I'm going to limit my exposure to 20% there. So now I will say that before I manually did that, I was getting 47% Commanders regardless of what settings I used. So they're rating out as a good median, even like some upside projection play. But that's just my philosophy with playing the defenses. But the 3 other teams that I have, one of them that we talked about before, it seemed like kind of the obvious pivot would be the Cardinals. But I got two others just for the hell of it that more than 10% I'll throw in. I have the Packers at 16%, and then I have the Raiders at 11%. But overall, I just feel that's the way to approach the.
That's hilarious. I have both those defenses at 16 and 11%, but I have 16% of the Raiders and 11% of the Packers.
Oh, there you go. Okay, great.
It's just the exact thing, but totally flipped.
Yeah, all right.
All right, sounds good. Rody, what do you got for defenses this week?
Oh man, you guys know I'm all about the cheap defenses, man. I even got the Bucks at 2,200 on DK. I love the Raiders at 2,300 on DK. Yeah, I'm gonna throw a little Commanders in, but I mean, I got them capped probably under 20% even on my 150 max. Plus, I do a lot of hand builds with a little bit of Commanders, so they'll probably be about 25, like the 20% ish range. But I love the Raiders. Getting a little bit of Seahawks maybe in there. I don't mind them against the Rams. They're cheaper on DK here than they are FanDuel. I know we didn't talk much about FanDuel, but yeah. Packers are popping a little against Chicago. I don't have much of them, maybe a couple of them, but I'm really heavy on the Raiders and Buccaneers.
What I want to do, if you wouldn't mind, I like doing this. Is we could do something with FanDuel, but the other thing I wanted to go through, I thought it was fun last year to go through my just go through my exposures and see like which just complete like nonsense plays I've never heard of are just kind of on the board here. Let me just go ahead and do that. And then if you have any particular takes on
let me just say my defenses real quick first.
Oh, you didn't do defense. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Then we'll jump into anything. Yeah, I have the Cardinals number one, and the Bucks. They're actually tied for me. They're both my highest owned, around 20%, 19%, I guess. Raiders, Texans. I do have the Commanders, but I'll be like right around 9 or 10%. I'm just trying to fade it because it's the chalky one. I also am mixing in some Dolphins, Packers, Steelers, and Seahawks, Falcons, Bengals are just rounded out cheats. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I have, you know what? Something just happened to my computer, so I have to deal with this for a second. Okay, so let me take a look at my exposures here and see if there's any guy that I have like just in all the positions that's even over 5%. That's just completely just ridiculous. Let's see. Boy, I don't have like too much here. I got 8%. 7% Kendrick Bourne, maybe? Is that something? No, I'm just kind of looking through here, and it just you mentioned the Flowers. I don't have that much of him though. Kyle Pitts, Ramondre Stevenson. But unfortunately, I've heard of like all these guys. So I don't know. But I figured I would just double check that. So yeah, I don't have anybody that I haven't heard of this in week one, which is a little disappointing. I like having guys I've never heard of, especially more than 5%.
Yep, I understand that. Yeah, if we can talk a little FanDuel over there too. I'm playing Richardson and Jackson as my quarterbacks, and the stacks are going to be those, and they're going to be very similar to what I said for.
You like playing your Zay Flowers and Likely combo, and like say the 5-5-5. Are you talking your most?
Well, the 5-5-5, I right now have one with Likely Flowers and Lamar, and I have a Richardson, which is really tricky with Pittman because I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. Richardson, Pittman, ATN, and Kirk on the run back, and then the rest of the game is a Cincinnati-Cleveland stack.
Nice.
That's basically what I'm doing over there. You can do a lot with those with the value there. All right, so in order to sort of sum things up or whatever a little bit, I'll do my thing, which is just from the show what I'm sort of going to get more of in the next hour and 15 minutes or whatever it is. I want to get some exposure to the Green Bay Chicago game. I want to get especially the Jordan Love stats are going to be cheap. You could do all the other, which I really like. I like the Chris Olave. I want to get more of him. I love the Devontae Smith. I'm big on Smith this year. I think he's going to be the wide receiver one for Philly. I think he's going to be the best scoring receiver. I want to get more of Debo, even though I've got a decent amount of them. Reed, I need to get a little bit of. Musgrove, I need to get a little bit of. Ridley, I need to get more of. Those were the things that I'm love the Richardson play on FanDuel. Those are the things that I've changed since this show started.
I'll just do some FanDuel real quick. FanDuel, I have more, believe it or not, I have more Seattle. Seattle is my number one stack actually on FanDuel.
Ooh.
The other thing is about FanDuel, again, I'm just going to talk about what's different, I guess. Boy, oh boy, all this freaking Damian Pierce. What am I doing here? I don't know. We're gonna find out though. It's probably gonna lose, and we have ditched the trope. Oh, this is a disaster. But anyway, Acres more of over here maybe. I don't know. So not a lot of difference, except that I happen to be getting to more Seattle.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Rudy?
What are we doing? Final wrap up? I thought we were doing
final thoughts. Wrapping up. Any hot takes? Anything you're?
Oh yeah, I agree with Sheets. I got a lot of Damian Pierce, getting a lot of Mostert, getting a lot of those cheap mid-tier running backs. I think the difference, another good strategy I am trying to get to is a little bit like Chubb and Henry or Eckler, like spend up running backs and getting those mid-tier receivers that I like to talk about in. I think that build gets you kind of different from this Jamal Williams chalk or these cheaper running back chalk that everyone's going to kind of gravitate so they can get Jeffersons and Tyreek Hills and stuff like that. Switch the build a little bit on them, and I'm kind of doing a few lineups like that and some of my bigger buy-ins.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, I want to ask you guys. There's like all these different tools. I know some of you use SaberSim or I don't know if you guys still use RGHQ or whatever it is to build lines. I know, Bob, you still build a lot by hand or whatever it is. Like what?
I'm building all of them by hand today. Yeah.
You're going to do all by hand today?
That's why I probably have to get out of here in a few minutes.
That's fine. And so what are you using, Rody? I mean, like, are you using SaberSim? Are you using RG? Again, I try to like mess around with all of it because everybody does like so many different things.
Actually, I do a little bit of both. I got a couple builds here already on the screen right now for SaberSim that I built some lineups on.
Okay.
Just toying with the settings. I do use RG still a little bit. Yeah. Just because I like their single optimizer on the sidebar where I can use it for cash. I did put cash in my playbook today, guys. So there's a cash lineup in the playbook. If you guys want more accurate cash lineups, you can ask me around lock time and I can send it to you in the Discord premium. Whatever you guys want. But I kind of build. I see what I'm getting. I'm using this new Sims tool that Saber's got. You guys can check out where I've been running Sims for the contest. I got the 3 big milli makers up here. I've switched between the different ones for these different builds, and I'm kind of just seeing what the Sims are kicking out, what kind of lineups are kicking out, what kind of percent the players are coming to me at. Looking at my exposures in these lineups. So I kind of use a little bit of mix of both different things out there. So.
Sounds good. That makes a lot of sense. All right, guys. I think we're probably going to get out of here. I did look for some questions in chat. It looked like most of them we kind of answered throughout the show, and I was writing my answers into the Discord as much as I could. But if there's any more questions, we got just a quick couple minutes, guys. Let us know. Sheets, is there anything else you want to touch on before we get out?
Yeah. So another thing that I'm going to be doing, I have to figure out the right time to do this. I am going to be doing. I want to do at least on. I want to do on Sundays. I don't know when I'm going to put this up. It's going to be called an F football video, where basically I just do one video that talks about all the other sports going on. In case if people want to play other sports, I'll just be one video where I talk about all my takes for all the other sports. The F football video or F the NFL video. I don't know exactly when it's going to go up, but that's another thing I'm going to do. But overall, listen, it's going to be. The NFL's fun, man. It really is. It really is. It's fun. It's frustrating. It's cool. It's Red Zone fires up 7 hours of Red Zone for those of you that watch that. And then the best is when everybody's all on tilt and everybody tries to get their money back on Sunday Night Showdown, Giants Cowboys. That's my favorite part of the night. For those of you who play baseball, I'm going to actually work on those now. Get those sheets up. So you guys can get battle for that $3K for first in the lottery. And that's going to be the ultimate tilt, by the way. If you hit the baseball lottery and it pays $3,000, you're not going to be happy. But when you're a psycho like me and just kind of want to win, regardless of how much it pays, I'm kind of really into the soft fields.
Yeah. This is always going to happen. We're going to have our football frustrations, and Sheets will post all the winning stuff for baseball.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to post. Yes, I lost like 8,000 in football, but they snapped that $3K lottery off in baseball. No
after beating everybody, you win that lottery. Rody, anything else before we get out of here?
Just make sure you guys like this video, man. We had over 40 people in here at one time. I hope you guys hit the like button. I wasn't on YouTube to watch, so hopefully hit that like button on the way out. And you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, let's
wait. We're gonna have your sign off in a second, but before you do your sign off,
I was figuring you had something.
Yeah, I'll give you the prompt, but But if you have it here for the first time, whatever, check out our Discord channel as well, because
I'll post a link right
listen,
now.
there's not a lot of people joking around and making funny comments and posting, like kind of like fun looking memes and whatever it is. But people are there really just kind of to learn and to share takes and to share processes. And I think, we're building something pretty cool over there. And I know Bobby's in and out of there. He posts his bets. I'm not, I'm not a betting guy really. But Bobby's, posts his bets all the time. We got Survivor pool content in there. I know that, basically best ball season's over, right? In about an hour and a half, right? It's basically.
It actually locked on Thursday for the first.
Oh,
game.
even better. So best ball,
yeah.
I don't have to hear about it anymore, right? I have to hear about people whining. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But after I did like 15 drafts, literally donated. Like 5 of them have like Kyle Murray. It's like literally the worst. So maybe next year I'll commit to doing it.
Yeah, next year I think is the one for me as well. Good luck to everybody, and like Rody said, please hit the like button. We do appreciate it. We're gonna get out of here.
What else do you have to say?
I'm gonna let Rody say his final sign off here.
Me? I'm good to go.
You're good.
Yep.
All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great week 1.